welcome to the next episode of Your Charisma Coach. It's finally here. You know, a few months ago my brother asked me this question.
Hey Marcus, I really want you to be my best man at my wedding and do a real funny speech.
Now what I think he actually meant was this.
If you mess this speech up, you won't be the best man, you'll be the dead man.
So today I'm going to show you how to write and deliver a really funny best man speech without making some of the mistakes that I did. So let's jump right in and start with the most important thing of all, which is your speech structure. Okay, step one of your speech, opening remarks. You know, there's huge pressure on best men these days to be the equivalent of stand-up comedians. You don't have to have a speech that has the audience in stitches. It's just important that you make the audience giggle. In fact, a really good speech has got serious bits and funny bits all mixed together. This is going to be one of the funny bits. The reason is the audience wants to laugh. They've been listening to two speeches by the groom and the father of the bride. They're ready. So you can make them laugh pretty easily by using a volley of one-liners. One-liners are just short little jokes that usually go down well. They're usually puns. If they don't, it doesn't matter because you're on to the next joke. And if you tell a string of them, eventually you'll have your audience giggling.
You know, the last time I saw you give a speech like that, Mike, you were found guilty.
Very good place to find one-liners. Joke books, my friend. So the best things to make jokes about in this section are not the groom. In fact, it's actually better to do it at either your own expense or use the hotel, use the venue you're at and make jokes about that.
Now, before I continue, I'd like to thank Great Foster's Hotel, for whom none of this would have been possible. I really do mean it when I say I think Mike and Karen will be in their debt forever. And at $4.50 a pint, I think so will we.
What that'll do is that'll warm your audience and it'll get them ready to listen to the rest of your speech to come. Step 2 of your speech, formal compliments. Now this is the first serious part of your speech. Traditionally, the role of the best man speech is to thank the groom for his kind words on behalf of the bridesmaids about the bridesmaids. And to do this, you're going to agree with what he said by telling them how lovely they look and also what a wonderful job they've done today. I think it's a very nice touch here to ask for a little bit of applause and get a bit of audience participation going.
On behalf of the beautiful bridesmaids, Avril, Julie, Neve and Rose, it's my pleasant duty to thank Michael for his kind words. And I think we can all agree that they look charming, exquisite and elegant today. So let's have a round of applause for them. That's better than the clap I picked up in Amsterdam.
After that, you're going to want to extend your compliments to his gorgeous new bride and tell her how wonderful she looks. Okay, section 3, personal intro. This is the part of the speech a lot of people forget. It's to explain who you are and how you know the groom. Because some people in the audience will not have a clue. So you can do it very quickly and easily just by saying, hey, my name's Marcus and I'm the groom's brother. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Marcus. I'm Mike's younger brother. For those of you who do know me, I apologise. However, I'd like to express what a great honour it's been to be his best man today. Surveying the room, I really can't think of anyone more charismatic, intelligent, or better looking who could have fulfilled this role. But you can also add a little story about how you met the groom if you met at college or university, or any little adventures you and him had. And if you start poking fun at him, that's a great time to do it as well.
One of my responsibilities was to organise a memorable trip to Amsterdam with Mike. Karen, I must admit, he was very well behaved. When we were trying to drag him out to various seedy joints, all Mike wanted to do was a bit of window shopping.
Okay, step 4, stories about the groom. Now this is the most important part of your speech because stories serve to pad your speech out, but they also serve to connect the groom to the audience. Because remember, half the people there won't know him as well as you do. Now this is usually the moment where you roast the groom, you poke a bit of fun at him. And this will depend on really your groom's sense of humour, if you can take a joke or not. My brother has a great sense of humour, so I'm going to push the boat out a bit.
But what we do know is he's passionate about fitness and has an addiction to the gym. Or at least the mirror down the gym. But it's good to see a man who clearly takes pride in his body. However, judging by those love handles, I think the only machine you use down there is the Kit Kat dispenser.
Now, the best way to get these stories is to call up his closest friends and ask them, do you have any good stories about the Groom?
Okay, so have you got any really awkward stories about my brother? Something that's really embarrassing?
Not that I'll repeat at this table.
Okay. So if I ask you about them later, they can maybe go in the speech.
When you get those stories, just write them down, and it doesn't matter if they're fantastic or not, you're just collecting as much information as possible. Because at the end of the day, only 1 or 2 stories will make the cut. The real important thing to remember here is, though, a story usually has a build-up, and it needs a payoff at the end to be a great story. So really work on having a really successful punchline at the end of each big story. If you're not comfortable doing that, then you can just string a load of short little stories together. Ideally, you want a mix of one-liners,
Adventurer, mercenary, patron of the arts, supporter of a Champions League football team. Mike is none of these things.
and big stories with fun payoffs.
Somehow the date went well. That was until Michael decided he needed to use the little boy's room. For whatever reason, perhaps it was the pressure of looking in your eyes, Karen, let's just say his aim was a little off.
Oh, no.
Okay, step 5 of your speech. It's time to give advice to the newlywed couple on what constitutes a great relationship. Now, you want to keep this section light-hearted like the one before it to begin with. And you might give the groom some suggestions on how to get away with some of his less desirable habits around the house.
Wherever you are, whatever's said, when Karen asks you how many pints of drink you've had, you say 3.
And also, you might want to give the bride some suggestions on how to put up with them.
In the morning, make sure to wax his chest hair.
Now, on the day, I found out the day before that the bride had actually waxed the groom's chest while he was asleep. So I included that on my speech. And that's a very good suggestion, is keep recent events in your speech. Your speech can change at last minute, and this was certainly a section where it happened on mine. Also, towards the end, you want to give some serious advice.
Finally, I'd just like to add, look, although you've taken your vows and you're now husband and wife, I'd suggest that you always act like your boyfriend and girlfriend. Because you both have a love story that's unfolding, day by day.
So if you're a bit stuck on what to do there, find a couple of good quotations out of a book on romance and let rip. Okay, step 6, heartfelt comments. Moving on from the advice section where everything got a bit serious towards the end, we're going to keep this section completely serious. There's going to be no jokes here. The job here is to paint the bride and groom in the best possible light. You're going to be repairing the damage you've done to the groom's character in the story section, but you're also going to be getting a bit sentimental and reminding everyone what a great couple they are. This is also the time to mention any loved ones who couldn't be here today, and really just to bring a sort of serious edge to your speech. It'll tie everything up very nicely, but remember, no jokes here.
Throughout my life, I've been really blessed to have such wonderful, loving brother to look up to. He's always been there to support me, to fix my mishaps, even when I electrocuted myself once, and he's kept me laughing when times have been tough. He's charming, he's audacious, and he's funny, and he's a constant inspiration to me.
Step 7, the most important part, the reason you're here, the toast. You're going to stand up and ask everyone to do the same, fill their glasses, and you're going to toast to the health of the bride and groom.
I won't keep you any longer because I know Mike is dying to buy you all a drink at the bar. All that remains me to do now is to ask you to charge your glasses, stand and join me. in wishing Mr. and Mrs. Oakey a long and happy life together. Ladies and gentlemen, the bride and groom, Karen and Mike.
Then you're going to enjoy the applause, sit down, and then get up again and run off to the bar, because your job is done. Here's 3 extra tips to make sure your speech goes down a storm. The first thing you want to do is print your speech out and go through it with a pen. Aim to get rid of 10% of whatever you've written. The second draft of your speech should be exactly the same as the first draft, minus 10%. Okay, less is always more. The second thing you want to do is read your speech out to a friend. It's really good to rehearse on your own and, you know, say it out loud. That's great, gives you that kind of memory. But when you say it to somebody who's in front of you, it just sharpens you up a bit. So I really recommend that. You can find out how well the jokes go down, and maybe you might want to do it with 1 or 2 people. The third thing is, if you can, and this is what I didn't do, learn your speech off by heart, because that will allow you to interact with the audience. If you're reading it off a bit of paper, you will lose your place. Both myself and my brother missed out tons of parts of our speech because we kept looking at the wrong part of the speech. Now, the way the speech was written, it didn't really matter, but definitely if you can, learn it off by heart. You'll need to give yourself about a week to do that. Worst case scenario is you just read it off a bit of paper. Anyhow, I'm sure it'll go well. See you on the next episode of Your Charisma Coach.
Right, if you're watching this far in, I'm going to give you one final tip. You want to read as many best man speeches as you can, because doing so will give you a natural feel for what makes a great speech. If you'd like to read my speech out in full, you can do so by heading to my website, yourcharismacoach.com, the address is on the screen now, and you'll be able to find the full text below the video on there. I look forward to seeing you there, and best of success with your speech.